Hey, Tyson,
Yeah, Mike.
I know something you don't know.
Oh, that's a load of poppycock right there.
All right, then. I'll prove it. Hey, listeners, we're going to do something a little different tonight on this lightning round. We're going to call it Insider's Perspective,
Ooh,
where I'm going to take a look at the World of Warcraft Legion
something
expansion,
different,
touch
Mike?
base on that. Well, yes, a
Oh, I'm
little bit,
excited.
but it's going to be, oh, I'm glad you are, because we're going to be talking a little bit about something I touched on when we talked about World of Warcraft in episode 3. My favorite expansion, and I'm going to explain to our listeners why I think you would probably enjoy it more than you like the Burning
Oh, that's
Crusade.
gonna be tough because I love TBC. But okay, Mike, I'm willing to go on a stretch. Let's hear it.
All right. Now, for this, I'm going to dump some lore on
Oh,
you.
I love lore. All right, I'm ready to take a lore shower, Mike. Let's hear it.
Well, in the spirit of dropping World of Warcraft lore, I'm going to be putting on my patented British man's voice, which is the only appropriate accent to have for a fantasy
I feel
setting,
like you
isn't
have a
it?
question mark above your head right now, and I'm coming up to you. Okay, let's hear it.
Well, then you're accepting my
I
quest,
am.
are you? Very well. Illidan Stormrage, born a Night Elf twin to Malfurion Stormrage, because what other last name would a twin have? A boy of destiny, but not specific destiny, oh no. He grew up with an affinity for magic, but not as a druid like his brother. He drew his power from the Well of Eternity, the Night Elf people's fountain of magic. But that attracted the attention of Sargeras. The well itself, that is, not the silly boy who wanted to be Harry Potter so bad that he betrayed his entire people, but I'll get to that in a moment. Who is Sargeras? A right foul bastard he is. He leads an army of demons, destroying worlds across the universe. Illidan don't like that shit. When Sargeras opens a portal on Azeroth in the Well of Eternity, Illidan hops in like a badass and helps repel him, but doing so destroys the Well of Eternity. He knew this would happen, so when he went to warn Queen Izara, who was pushing the portal open to bring in the big bastard on campus himself, Sargeras, he was labeled a betrayer by his brother and put in a magical prison for
Oh,
10,000
that's a long
years.
time.
That would get very boring,
Oh,
wouldn't it?
I'm bored just thinking about it. All right, what happened next?
Sargeras came back like a shitty sequel, The Matrix Revolutions, and started a new thing. One of his generals created the Lich King and sent an army of zombies and spooky, scary skeletons to send shivers down Azeroth. Illidan hates this very, very much and finds an artifact called the Skull of Gul'dan. He then eats it, non-canon by the way, and becomes a half-demon, destroying a major general in the Legion army. But because in doing so, he saved the life of his brother's beloved soon-to-be wife in a love triangle that would make the Hallmark Channel blush. Malfurion, being the hippie druid that he is, let Illidan go into a portal to another world, where he would become a despotic ruler. Or so you would believe if you only played Warcraft 3 and the Burning Crusade, because Illidan, while pretending to serve Sargeras, was a double agent the whole
Oh, the
time.
best kind of agent.
That's right, a double agent. Just like the medium difficulty on GoldenEye 64.
Oh,
References to cool things.
like episode 5.
In the intro tutorial to the Demon Hunter class in the Legion expansion, you find this out firsthand. When Illidan was planning to invade the Legion's homeworld and destroy Sargeras himself. Then you see the end of the Black Temple raid from the perspective of one of his demon hunter Illidari, just as Illidan himself goes out like a little bitch. Thus, leading into the Legion expansion proper.
That sounds awesome. But tell me, Mike,
Yes, indeed. de-Britified
What about the
myself.
game, though, Mike? Tell me more about the actual game.
Okay, what do you want to know?
Like, what did they do? I mean, I didn't play Legion. I stopped at Mist and Pandera like a little pussy bitch that has ADHD. So tell me, what is so awesome about Legion?
First of all, you called it Pandera, which is just a mispronunciation of the planet from Avatar. I can tell you didn't play it much. But anyway, back to the topic here. With Legion, you get an entire new weapon system. You ditch the traditional find weapon, use weapon, get better weapon, use it instead, throw away the old one like so
So
much
it's like a growth
trash.
weapon?
Kinda, in a way. It doesn't grow with you when you level. Instead, you power it up as you go along, using quest rewards, little bits that you get from flash events that are all over the world, and even little events in-game and daily quests. It's actually quite intuitive, and I rather enjoyed it myself. But this weapon, depending on your class and your specialization of said class, is an
Wait,
artifact weapon.
did you say intuitive? Blizzard did
Did I?
something intuitive? I can't believe it. I roll to disbelieve, Mike.
You rolled a
Oh, I
1.
believed it. Oh, anyway,
Yes, you
continue.
did. Anyway, these artifact weapons may or may not have places in lore that were shoehorned into the Legion expansion, or maybe not. It just depends on which one it is. The Scythe of Elune, Zalatath, the Dagger of the Prophets, as well as the Ashbringer. Now, these weapons you would get through an intro quest that would test your ability as the specialization that would use it. You got to know what you're doing when you're playing those specializations. There were a few that I couldn't even get, despite the fact that I had played since the alpha build of the original release of Vanilla. So, if you want the best weapons, you got to be a good player. Not a great player, just a good one. And I'm not. I suck at video games.
Same, brother. Same.
Yeah, but it makes for better
So I
content.
see that they
Anyway,
added a zone called the Broken Isles. Tell me about that.
the Broken Isles, a number of new zones that are based heavily in lore, with Gul'dan specifically. You heard me mention his
I
skull,
did. I
right?
remember Gul'dan from Warcraft 2. He was a playable
Uh-huh.
character in that game.
Yes, he was. And just like Sargeras, a right foul
I believe he was a
bastard.
Death Knight.
Dan?
Yeah, so they
No.
well, in Warcraft 2, the units, I believe, were Death Knights, and they were where Ner'zhul and Gul'dan were, I think.
Well, that's the thing. Gul'dan created the first Death Knight. The first Death Knight is a boss in the Black
He is a
Temple.
Death Knight, and there, see, Death Knights in Warcraft 2 had the ability to do Death and Decay and Death Coil and Touch of Darkness, and Death and Decay was by far the absolute coolest thing in Warcraft 2 because whenever you'd have a bunch of units piled up in a big pile, you could cast it and it was like an AoE damage spell, and you just would fuck shit up. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Anyway, the Broken Isles. A number of zones. Val Shara, High Mountain, the Broken Shore, Azuna. They're all great. Each and every one of them has its own long storyline and a bunch of side quests. And all of the storylines lead up to a dungeon in each zone. The dungeon being where you would finish out a quest and get an artifact called a Pillar of Creation. The Pillar of Creation would lead into the final raid of the original release called the Tomb of Sargeras.
It's a
Huh?
tomb? Is he already dead?
No.
Then what's he doing in a tomb, Mike?
Fucked if I
That
know.
sounds like the most Blizzard thing I've ever heard.
I know, right? But that's the thing. It's not even really a tomb. It's a raid.
All right, Mike, so tell me, if I really wanted to try Warcraft Legion right now, how the hell could I do it? Do I just pick up retail and make a demon hunter?
Well, that's where the fun begins. You see, when Legion dropped, they realized that power creep was becoming a very serious problem. So, Blizzard, being the geniuses that they are, did what is called a level squish, wherein your max level is reduced I believe, back to 60. And then, on top of that, all the mobs in every zone would scale to your level. So if it was your first time entering a zone, all the enemies there would pose at least a decent challenge. That is one mechanic that I adored about it, because you could then experience every zone, enjoy all of the quest lines, and do all the things you wish you could have done before you outleveled the zone originally.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, isn't that cool? But with that, there became an issue. Say you want to play a whole expansion, but you're already max level because you did all your leveling on the main continents. Well, there's an NPC in the game called Chromie. Do you know who
I
Chromie
have
is?
no idea, Mike.
Chromie is a member of the Bronze Dragonflight who controls time. You go find Chromie in the capital city, or Grimmar, or Stormwind, and when you talk to her, she gives you the opportunity as a level 10 to go in and start over at level 10 on one of the previous expansions.
Interesting. So
Yeah, you would start as a newbie level 10 in a freshly level
a
squish. You could even
a
do
quick
Outland.
Googling says that that didn't happen till Shadowlands.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm misremembering so much.
Mike, is it the Mandela effect?
Oh,
Oh, no.
no.
That's okay. We're nerds. We're not infallible. You can be wrong. I'm
Correct.
wrong all the time. So let me tell you
Yeah.
something, Mike.
What
I
can you
still
tell me?
think I like the Burning Crusade more, and you wanna know why?
Why?
Because nostalgia, that's why. Going through the dark portal for the first time and seeing Outland and what had happened to it since playing a game like Warcraft 2. Let me rewind. When I played Warcraft 2, I played the expansion also that was called Beyond the Dark Portal. And in that game, you actually get to travel to Draenor, which is referred to as the Red World, and do a new campaign of quests as a human or military. And when I found out that the dark portal was still there and you could go through it in the World of Warcraft, I was giddy. I was giddy at the thought that I am finally going to get to see the orcs' homeworld. When I got there, however, I will say I was a little disappointed. I walked through the dark portal and I don't see giant mushroom trees like I did in Warcraft 2. Instead, I see Outland, shattered, destroyed, everything's turned sideways. But still, I'm like, this is kind of cool. And then when you get to the next zone, I think it's Zanger Marsh is what it's called. You start to see the
Yes.
giant trees again, and you start to see Outland for what it used to be. And
What it used to
and you
be.
know, I see a lot of the changes they made in Legion were important. They had a level cap. It went from 100 to 110.
Mhm.
You had a new class for Demon Hunter, which is really cool when they add new classes and all that stuff. You have a new zone, so you've got your new experience in the Broken Isles. I see that. I get that. But they changed the way the traditional roles and talents played out when they started Legion. And it
In a way,
began to
yes.
evolve more and more and more into a new game. Whereas they were leaving behind an old game. And with that old game being left behind, it felt like it left behind my childhood. Um, you know, The Burning Crusade was its first expansion. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. But it was the first time you got to experience new races, new zones, playing a new class. If you only ever played Horde or Alliance, you got a new class out of the deal too, being able to be a shaman or a paladin. But
Yeah.
Legion changed how you play World of Warcraft. It reinvented the entire progression system and just changed everything.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Tyson. They change that every single time they drop a new
You
expansion.
are absolutely right, Mike. Blizzard just constantly reinvents the wheel, don't they?
That they do, but that's just part of the experience of
I
playing
think it
WoW.
is.
Every time they drop an expansion, you learn something new to do
This
in the
is
game. Keeps things a little fresh, but I don't know if that's a byproduct or the intent.
I think it's the intent. And I tell you what, Mike,
Perhaps.
you've convinced me. I think tonight I will download retail and I will see what I can do about experiencing some good old fashioned Legion content.
I'll tell you what, Tyson. I do know that In the pre-patch leading up to Shadowlands, they introduced a new starting experience called Exile's Reach, where you can level up to 10 on your character in just around an hour. And with that, you get a wealth of experience. It teaches you how to play your class properly, all of that. And on top of that, you can do Chromie time.
I think you're right, and I think I actually have seen Exiles Island
Exile's
Reach.
Reach. Yes, but that's just the thing. You have a WoW account because you play Classic. Can't you do retail for free on
I
top of that?
can and will.
Yeah, and I definitely cannot say this enough. Play as a demon hunter. It is so much
I
fun.
think I'll try.
Not only does it include a new way to tank and DPS, but it adds new mobility with a double jump and a glide.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very neat. And on top of all of that, there's a lot of mobility requirements in the Broken Isles because a lot of tall mountains and such. And in one of the Broken Isle areas, you find a grappling hook that allows you to go between these spots in the mountains without a flying mount.
So let me ask you this, Mike. You seem
Go
really
for it.
enthusiastic about this episode. Has
Oh,
it
yeah.
inspired you to re-up your subscription?
Probably not.
And that, folks, is where we're going to end it. Thank you so much for coming to our lightning round and our insider's perspective on World of Warcraft Legion. I'm
Yes,
your host,
indeed.
Tyson, and this is my co-host, Mike. And I hope you
Hi.
enjoyed tonight's episode. Hey, if you're local to our area down in Southeast Iowa and you are just happening to be near Burlington, Iowa, please come and see us in person on June 6th at the Burlington Comic-Con at the mall. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. You'll be able to sit down and talk to us, and hell, maybe we'll give you a free t-shirt. Sound good, Mike?
That does sound good, but let's be clear here. June 6th of 2026, in case you're listening to this in 2038.
This is true. I don't want you to show up to the Burlington Mall in 2038. It may not exist.
Probably not, because, nukes.
All right, Mike. You have a good night, buddy.
You as well, dude.